As you start getting better speaking on camera, you may find that leads to other opportunities like speaking live in front of an audience on a stage. That brings a whole different set of skills. It's a whole different experience. Speaking to an audience can be nerve-wracking. You have people there waiting for you to inspire them, waiting for them to deliver some interesting content. And you may feel a little tingle in your stomach, or a straight fear or anxiety or terror, like a lot of people do. And I haven't experienced some challenges speaking on in front of a stage as well. I remember when I was working as a reporter, I had an opportunity to MC an event. And I didn't really prepare like I needed to. I thought that I could just go in cold, and it was a huge mistake because I stuttered through the information. I stumbled, I mispronounced people's names as I was introducing them. It was a train wreck. And at the intermission, in fact, somebody in the audience walked up and said, it's all good, we're family, there's no need to worry. But at that point, the ball was already rolling downhill. So, I brought a special guest to help me co-present this information. Her name is Parul Banka. She's a coach who helps people prepare awesome presentations. She's based in the UK. She's been doing this for years and years. She's in fact raised thousands and thousands of dollars for organizations just from speaking on stage by sharing her story. And she's going to bless us with her best information to help you learn how to become an effective speaker, help you ease your fears when it comes to speaking on stage. So I'm going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to join this conversation in progress. One of the first questions I had for Parul was, how did you get started speaking on stage?
Public speaking began when I was little, maybe in early teenage, school, elocution, debates, speeches, just a minute competitions, all that kind of stuff. And I did well. And then sometime during the college and the university time, I fell out of it. The whole thing of managing the labels that we wear and have got to do this right, and somehow came out of it. But when I started work in 2005, that's when I again got into it. And that's when I joined Toastmasters, and I did really well. And I saw that people enjoyed my speeches. I was able to connect with them. I was able to inspire them. So I just decided that I should share my knowledge with others. And then what really gave me lots more confidence is I moved to the UK 7 years ago. Until then, I had lived only in India. So after I moved here and I spoke to a completely different audience, mostly English people, otherwise people from few other countries, because UK is so diverse. And I realized that I had exactly the same feedback here as well. So I was able to connect with the people, even if I would do a speech, let's say, which was very, very, let's say, Indian, but still people got it. Yeah. So I had that capability to connect with people and to inspire them and to persuade them. And I crafted a respectable place for me in my Toastmasters club. And so that's how I got into public speaking. I've been doing it for a long time. I really enjoy it.
So how do you translate that into coaching people or helping people become public speakers?
Okay, so there are two aspects to public speaking coaching. One is the coaching aspect of it, which is the psychology, and the second is the hard skills. So what happens is, if we look at a very basic example of public speaking, a lot of people have this fear of public speaking. And people worry, are they good enough? Will they be able to communicate their message properly? Will people have a buy-in into what they're trying to say? The whole psychology aspect. And the second thing is the actual skills, things like body language, voice modulation, how do I structure my speech, how do I start, how do I end, things like that, the harder skills. So there is a soft skill aspect, there's a hard skill aspect. And as a public speaking coach, I help people with both the things. So in the first category, the simpler things are the mindset management. And that's the video I shared with you. And the second aspect is, if let's say just the visualization and getting the mindset right doesn't really help people, that's when we go deeper into coaching. And then there are lots of other exercises that we can do, which are actually coaching based. Some of them are used to tackle phobias. That's the kind of stuff Tony Robbins does. So that's going a bit deeper, and I have incorporated those coaching exercises as well.
So let's start with the mindset, since that seems to be where you like to start. So a person is completely like, I'll give my wife, for example. She does not like public speaking. She would rather die. She gets hot. She does not like it. But she realized for business that you have to speak publicly.
Yeah.
So you take a person like that, or, it's a common fear, right? That's what they say, that most people would rather die than speak publicly. Like, it's not.
Yeah. They would rather be in the casket than do the eulogy.
So what is the first step that you would take someone through who is experiencing something like that, who knows they need to speak publicly or they want to, but they have some sort of fear, anxiety, just phobia when it comes to it?
Okay. The very first thing I would tell somebody in that situation is to understand that they are not alone, because our fears get enhanced when we believe that we are the only ones experiencing them. But if we know that everybody is going through the same mess, every person out there has their own insecurities, everybody fears being judged, everybody is afraid, then we just become one of them, and that becomes reassuring. So it is completely normal to have nerves. And I would say, well, actually, Mark Twain said this. This is a beautiful quote. There are only two types of public speakers in the world: the nervous and the liars. Which means that if somebody claims that they are not nervous before speaking, they are actually lying. And that's the first thing we have got to understand, that people in general have fear of public speaking. And when you actually care about your message, there would always be some anxiety. The trick is to learn how to manage that anxiety. So that's the very first thing I would tell them.
So how do you do that? How do you go to managing your anxiety once you've realized that you're going to have it, and you have it, and you get that pit in your stomach, cold sweats?
I would say it's not just knowing that you are not alone. There are a couple of other things also I would tell them. Can I run through those things?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. There are some of us who use a left brain quite a bit. We are the logical people. And for them, it might help them to understand that the chances of dying on stage are really, really slim. So what is the probability that I step onto a stage to deliver a speech and I actually die of it? The chances are really, really low. But when somebody puts it out to you in those very words, it's kind of reassuring to know that, I may not do a great speech, but I'm not going to die. It's not the end of the world. What's the worst that can happen? So that's another spin on the whole mindset thing that helps. What I also like to explain to people is that anxiety feels a lot more than it actually looks. So if I'm the speaker out there, then I would feel very, very anxious. I might feel very, 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 very anxious. But other people may not actually even be able to see that I am so anxious, because it feels a lot more than it looks. Yeah. So the speaker may be worried that they are not doing a great job, or, oh my God, I just messed it up. But actually the audience might not even know. I mean, I've been in stages, I've been in situations where in this particular situation, and I talk about this case on my course. I was a speaker at a training event in London, and I was doing my thing. It was going well. And you know what? I got distracted and I completely lost my train of thought. And Amani, I had no idea what I was talking about. I just went blank. But the brilliant thing was I was the only one who knew what I had planned and what I hadn't. So the audience didn't know that I actually went blank. They just thought I paused. And they actually thought that I paused in that moment to help them, to give them time, to help them assimilate what I was saying. And so they just found that pause so useful. But here's the thing. I lost my train of thought, but I didn't lose my nerve, because I knew that probably they haven't even noticed. And because I'm a confident speaker. So I just took that time out, stayed quiet for a few seconds, and then I just came back in. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah,
Totally.
it looks more. Yeah, anxiety looks more than, anxiety feels more than it looks. Yeah, the audience may not even know. And here's the best thing I like to tell people. Okay, let's do this. Let me ask you. We are having this conversation, and let's say I'm the speaker here, and let's say you are the audience. Do you want me to speak well, or do you want me to do an awful job today?
I want you to bless me with some information. I want you to help me with whatever I'm there to learn from you.
Yeah, exactly. And let's say about 100 people who follow you are going to look at this video. So what would those 100 people want to do? Would they want to listen to somebody who's doing well, or would they want me to do horribly? What do you think?
They want you to do well.
Exactly. So I want me to do well, you want me to do well, they want me to do well, which means that you and they are on my side. Yeah. So as a speaker, I may be worried that you and they, everybody who listens to this video, will judge me. But actually you wouldn't, because I'm here to do well. You are here because you want me to do well. And likewise, they want me to do well. Everybody's here to listen to a great presentation. Everybody wants a great talk, which means that we are all on the same side. And when we are amongst friends, that should give us confidence that we won't be judged. Because typically speakers worry that the audience would laugh at them, even if they wouldn't go ha 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 ha. But in their minds, they would judge them. But hey, if you and I are on the same side, then I don't have to worry about that, do I? Yeah. So it's a massive mindset thing wherein you say that this audience is here because they're on my side. And once we get a hang of that, then it completely changes things for us.
That's awesome. That's awesome advice. I actually, so in my news days, I had to MC an event, and I went completely cold, and it was awful. I did such a bad job. But during the intermission, someone said, "Hey, we're all family here, Amani," and it didn't really help me perform any better. But it kind of speaks to that fact that people want you to do well. They don't want you to bomb out. So that's a good point there.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of difference, because typically the way I would see it is that somebody would have paid, let's say, they would have spent some time, effort, or even money to listen to whoever they are listening to. And even if they haven't spent, let's say, any money, they would have definitely spent their time and effort. And time is a resource they would never get back. That's a part of their life that they have given to someone else that they would never get back. And so they've got to be on our side. They don't want us to do awfully. So I think that's a huge mindset thing.
And any of the mindset tips before we get into the next section, which we're going to talk a little bit about actually preparing for the speech. What's your last nugget that you can share with folks? Okay.
It sounds very cliched, but believe me, it works. There are two things. One is you visualize success. And one of the ways is that you can actually visualize and do the thing wherein you visualize that you're on the stage and people are applauding. It works for some people, but some people, they just don't get it. It doesn't work for them because every trick, every hack doesn't work for everyone. And so the second thing that I like to say is just have fun with it. Now, I'm somebody who likes to analyze things until they are dead or I am dead. I just have that knack. When it comes to having fun, the way it helps is that it takes your mind off the pressure and the expectations that you have set for yourself. Yeah. So instead of thinking, oh, I've got to achieve this, I've got to impress my audience, you're just so focused on just delivering your message that you automatically get rid of that anxiety. You go with the flow. And that especially works with speeches like, let's say, the humorous speech, wherein you don't really know if people would laugh at your jokes. You want them to laugh, but you don't know for sure. But then when you are having so much fun, I think people just pick up on the energy and you get out of your own way. It works in in a fantastic manner. Yeah.
There was a guy who I spoke to one time, and he said that he just gets extremely nervous on video or on stage. He said he took a magic, like a class on how to do magic tricks and how to tell jokes. And then when he get on stage and tell a joke, people would start laughing, and he get so self-conscious, he would think that people were laughing at him. So how would you, so how would you take someone who has a completely self-conscious, and tips, obviously some of these tips that you already suggested might have helped, but if you had someone who was like completely just a train wreck when it came to public speaking. He said he would get so nervous he would speed through his lines. He tried a lot of different tricks. He tried spending money on a lot of different solutions and just couldn't figure it out. Is there any hack or anything that you would say to this guy to say, hey, it'll be okay?
Okay, one thing that I'm just trying to put myself in the shoes of this individual you're talking about. What if I'm delivering a presentation that means so much to me that I'm really, really afraid of messing it up? And if I'm in that situation, I'll have to tell myself, you know what? Even if this doesn't go well, it's okay. That's one. And the second thing that will really help me is not to take things personally. So if, let's say, I try and crack a joke. I live in England, and there's a lot of humor that happens in the speeches here. And so let's say I crack a joke, it falls flat. If I take it personally in that moment, the chances are I would be worried when I throw my second joke. Will it land well? Are people going to laugh? But if I say, you know what? It wasn't anything personal that my joke didn't land well, I will just get on with what I was doing, and I would go on to the second joke and the third joke and the fourth joke, and I would just carry on, which again kind of ties in with what we were talking before. Have fun with it, because when you are tied to the result too much, oh my God, I'm going to say something, are people going to laugh at it or not? I'm getting in my own way. But if I just say, hey, I'm going to have a good time here, I'm here to give these people a good time, a lot of value, and if that's my focus, I think I will go in with a different mindset.
These are awesome suggestions. So what I'm going to do now is in the next section, we're going to talk a little bit more about preparing for your speech. Like if you had any sort of fear or phobias, what are some things that you work into your speech, maybe when it comes to the writing preparation part? So let's take a pause here, and we'll pick it up with that part of the conversation.